I've always loved trees. The reason I left the chimpanzee research at Gombe was when I realized that right across Africa, forests were disappearing and chimp numbers were dropping. And when I flew over my tiny Gombe National Park, it had been part of the great equatorial forest belt. But when I looked down in 1990, it was a tiny island surrounded by completely bare hills. And this is when it hit me. If we don't work with the people who are cutting down the trees even on the steep slopes because they're desperate to grow food for their families, then we'll never be able to even try and save the chimpanzees. So my involvement has been through a program called Take Care or Tukari. And it's been so successful that we work with 104 villages throughout the whole chimpanzee range in Tanzania. And it's a very holistic program working with water management programs and women and girls' education and all of this. So now the people have understood that saving the forest is also for saving their own future. So right at the beginning, as I was working on all of this and trying to raise money for it, I realized that all of this is absolutely wasted unless new generations grow up understanding some of the problems that we have brought about upon ourselves with the climate crisis. So I began a program called Roots and Shoots, which began with 12 high school students in Tanzania. It's now in about 60 countries, including India, and including Colombia. And it's got members in kindergarten, university, everything in between. One of the very first projects we did was tree nurseries, was planting trees. And the reason I think that this Trillion Tree project is so exciting, people say to me all the time, what can I do? What's one thing I can do? You can plant a tree. And whether you plant the tree in your own backyard or whether you pay to have trees planted in Tanzania, if it's urban or rural, it's something you can do. And now I find with all of this amazing technology that's out there, which I don't begin to understand, but you can actually identify individual trees. So I changed the way that animal behavior science was conducted by giving chimpanzees names. I was absolutely castigated by the scientific community. I should have given them numbers. Well, what about naming trees? If you have a tree named for you. So our Roots and Shoots program just last year planted about 5 million trees around the world. And that's with very little support. If we had more money coming in, we could plant many more. 5.5 million, Roots and Shoots has guaranteed that this year alone. So yeah, the Trillion Tree project is exciting because everybody can get involved. And whether it's communities on the ground that are so important, businesses, politicians, political leaders, children, everybody. And if we have a tree in our name, we want that tree to live.